hell? But like, you notice that. Like, you notice those classes are really good. But then on the other hand, you also have like really crappy classes. And it kind of just, it just offsets it a lot.
Dude, Rutgers is nothing to be like insecure about at all. And like...
It's a confidence thing. Like, where do you derive your confidence? You could probably beat this to death in this podcast already.
And nobody... To be honest, I don't think any school... Okay, if you go into any school and you feel an insecurity about where you are, any school, we're talking about Rutgers right now, and Rutgers, like, we're sitting here, we're making the case for Rutgers, but wherever you go, you need to make a case for that school, and I think it's super, super, super important that if you're going to any school, if you have any insecurity about that school, it can shape the way that you do all the work in your school. It can shape the way that you enter your professional life afterwards. It can shape the way that you behave as a human being. You need to deal with that immediately.
Well, actually, in that case, right, what we're doing might actually be exactly what we're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like, in the sense, like, we're trying to make ourselves being, like, we're comforting ourselves by telling ourselves, like, the fact that Rutgers is okay. And by that, we're eliminating our insecurity by...
right.
I don't know how to explain.
I see what you're saying. Here, wait. This is what you're saying is the root of insecurity is within oneself. It's not within like or when you're really trying to tackle the insecurity, you should tackle it within yourself and the way you deal with the insecurity, not so much the thing that makes you insecure. Because there will always be something that makes you insecure. You can go to Caltech and be insecure. You can go to MIT, Harvard, Princeton and be insecure. Because there's always something that will make you insecure. The problem isn't those things. You think the problem is those things, and you think that getting past those problems will lead you to becoming less insecure. But realistically, there's always going to be something that's going to make you insecure. So the solution to the problem is a change in perspective, a change in lens.
Yeah.
To be like, I'm fine. I'm good enough how I am.
Do you believe in confidence?
Do I believe in confidence?
Do you believe in the idea of confidence? What is the idea of confidence?
I think confidence is having comfort in yourself, knowing that you're good enough, knowing that whatever you do, like, it's fine. You're good enough. You can be comfortable.
Wait, are you trying to ask?
It's more so, right? Go ahead. What were you saying?
We're trying to ask if confidence like actually matters, or like, what do you mean believe in confidence?
Like the idea of, I don't know. This idea of confidence is kind of weird, right?
Absolutely.
Because confidence is more so. It's. I don't think it's being comfortable. It's more so being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Meaning, like, if you're put into certain situations, like, I can be, like, for example, if I'm up on stage, right? I'm feeling nervous, but that doesn't bleed through and that doesn't show, right? I'm seen as confident, but in reality, I'm still nervous.
Yes.
Right. It's confidence is an illusion in a sense. It's like a facade that exists.
Okay. I think what you said is correct, but I think in order to be up there and be nervous and still do something, you have to be within yourself. You have to be someone that knows everything's going to be just fine. And that's what I meant by comfort.
It's actually, that's an interesting way of putting it, because it's more so your practice doesn't give you confidence because you've done it right so many times. It's because when you do it wrong, it's like, oh, I messed it up, but it's still okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like, the amount of times I've said, like, you've seen me at MSA events, like, I've said, like, some dumb stuff on stage, right? Like, and there have been some really awkward moments, but it's right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
right?
Dude, think about the best stand-up comedians. I mean, how many times have they bombed? They say it themselves.
Yeah.
The best stand-up comedians have bombed the most. Like, I remember I did stand-up. You actually saw it. But the second time I did stand-up, it was at an MSA event. I don't know if you were there. You were there. So. It was at an open mic my freshman year. Basically, the guy's side laughed and the girl's side laughed. But that's because
maybe that says something about. I think it says something about your comedy, bro.
This happens a lot. I wonder why.
No, I think it was just things that maybe guys would find funny. But I think like a normal person
would find it funny.
Okay. I don't think the girls in that crowd were like normal people.
Oh god! But,
that's fine, bro. I'm gonna edit nothing now, bro. They don't even watch this, bro.
That is fair.
They watched this for Zarir, actually. Look at him watching.
Oh my god.
He's got a couple people watching just for him.
Oh, 100% Zarir.
Anyways, what was I talking about?
You made Zarir so uncomfortable there. I don't think you realized.
But the second time I went up and did stand up, like it was so. Going up there, whether I bombed or not, people told me afterwards, I was like, yo, I freaking bombed. Dude, I remember after that, I was so, like, I didn't want to talk to anyone. I just wanted to go hurl up into a freaking ball, right? Because bombing sucks the first couple times you do it. And then, like, people were like, oh, you didn't bomb. Like, the guys would be like, oh, you didn't bomb. I'd be like,
bomb.
But
We've been saying bomb way too many times. This has not been fired yet. There's still limits how many bombs you can have, man.
So I was on stage in front of a crowd, and you know there was a bomb.
We got demonetized before we got monetized.
All right, but it's really daunting being up there and like half the crowd isn't laughing, right? So whether you think you bombed or not, it definitely feels like you bombed. The best stand-up comedians, though, they've done that a million times.
And I think if you ask them, after any of their acts, be like, could you have done that better? They would still 100% of the time be like, yeah, I could have done that better. Like, there's nothing that I've ever walked away from been like, yeah, I didn't mess that little part up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't think that's what confidence is, like being perfect. I think that's the idea that most people have in their heads.
Yeah.
And it's, in a sense, you're trying to align what you do with this conception you have of yourself.
And you want the perception that you have of yourself, and you want to force that perception on other people.
Yeah.
And that comes from a severe lack of confidence. Do you guys know Dr. K? Dr. K.
Oh, the streamer?
Yeah, but he's like healthy gamer or something.
Healthy gamer.
You know this guy?
Oh, I think I know. He's like this Indian dude.
He's so good. Dude, he's so good, by the way. Like
gaming or like as
No, like he's a therapist.
Yeah, he's a clinical therapist. Gaming community.
I think I've seen one or two of these things. Yeah.
He's on the staff of Harvard Med.
Yeah.
So he's like I don't know if he's like
he Twitch streams for like on the side basically, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
No, I think that's his thing. Like he has like a whole company that's related to like helping like addiction and mental illness with like gamers and stuff. So like he's really famous because he does a bunch of live streams. Like on those live streams, he talks one-on-one or two-on-one with like very popular streamers.
Yeah, and sometimes he'll just stream and he'll help people through their problems. But I saw this really cool video by him the other day, and he was like, here's the reason why all of you are like humongous procrastinators and why you feel like you can't get anything done. And he's talking to like gamers.
Did I come up in your suggestions?
What?
Yeah.
But he was like the reason that gamers or people, like he was like, okay, gamers are like statistically proven to be more intelligent than like most people on average, right? Obviously you have like some really stupid people who play video games, but he was like, oh, for the most part you're intelligent. The problem is you've grown up with people telling you you're smart your whole life.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, and you didn't try, and you think that you trying at something and you showing people that you are trying at something is evidence that you're not as smart as you thought you are and as smart as you want them to think you are. So they don't try things because they can't accept failing, and they're the people who are the least confident. The people who are confident realize that it's not a matter of smart versus stupid. This was brilliant. I wrote this down in my notes. It's not a matter of smart versus stupid. It's a matter often of experienced versus inexperienced.
100%. Like I think in terms of parenting, right? The number one advice, if you ever have a kid, right? Hopefully,
just pump them out. You get more experience.
When you have kids,
like
right?
7, 8 kids.
Never tell your kids that they're smart, right? Or like if they did something good, attribute it to the hard work that they did, not because of the fact they're intelligent. Because then success or something like doing good is tied in their mind to hard work, and hard work in terms of success, right? It's conscientious and hard work, and then IQ comes after that, right? You do need both of them, but first hard work comes, right? Because if you can't work hard, it doesn't matter how smart you are to begin with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like to some degree, all right, I feel like we've kind of like made ourselves out to be like, you know, especially when we were talking about the earlier thing, made ourselves out to be like geniuses and stuff. But the three of us are like relatively smart people, right? And we've grown up.
We're not bad. Yeah.
We've grown up, and I think to some degree that happened to me. I think people told me I was smart, and I think that inspired me to become a little more lazy later on in my life. Because, well, and we were talking about this in a different episode in high school, like whiz by.
Yeah.
I literally don't remember a night where I studied in high school. I literally do not. And then you come to college, and then you're like, oh, crap. Because as easy or hard as a class might be, college is college, and work is work. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's totally, totally different. And it's definitely something that you need to like people who are not, from my experience, people who in high school were considered like average students end up killing college.
Dude, oh, I know a kid exactly like this in my high school. One of the most like hard-working people that I know. He was pretty smart. I wouldn't classify as being like incredibly intelligent, right? Especially and maybe in the class he wasn't like in the top one or two most intelligent people, but he had this thing where I think it also came in part because he used to do music, and he was used to produce music for like 8-10 hours a day, right? So that hard work thing, it's like you're training that muscle, right? You know how to work hard. And it used to be the same way in class, because I remember, like, for me, math class, and this is not to be like braggadocious or anything, but like I used to pick up the concepts pretty easy, and then I would kind of goof off, right? But I always remember him as being the kid. He don't always pick it up first, but he wouldn't give up until the fact that he got it.
Yeah,
Bro, and he's doing incredibly well right now.
yeah,
Right? And it's because of the fact that he just has that resilience in him.
absolutely, and that's something extremely praiseworthy. Something that I heard about. So, 3 years